Hi, everyone, and welcome once again to another episode of Everday Elder Care. I'm your host, Casey Price, from the elder law firm of Price & Price in Haddonfield, New Jersey. We are the elder law firm that focuses our practice on helping families touched by Alzheimer's disease and other types of dementia. And with that said, Alzheimer's disease and other types of dementia, I want to jump right into my interview with my fantastic guest today. I'm joined by James Santana, the executive director at Symphony at Cherry Hill, which is oh goodness, James, I've done it 10 times, a memory support assisted living community,
Yes.
right?
Yes.
So memory support assisted living,
Yep.
Cherry Hill, New Jersey, brand new community. I mean, you're ready to open your doors pending some, it looks like pending a little more, man, it's hard for an assisted living community to get approved by the state.
Yep.
But I've been there, I've seen it, I'm really excited for you to share about it. James, welcome to the show.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
You are very welcome. Let's talk a little bit about Symphony, about memory support assisted living communities, and really what it is, who it is you serve, and what you do.
Okay. So I am the executive director at Symphony at Cherry Hill. We serve people with Alzheimer's and other related dementias. And what we really truly focus on is having them have a really high quality of life and as independent as possible. Just because you have an Alzheimer's disease or you have a dementia doesn't mean that you're not able to be independent and be able to make your own decisions. So we really want to make sure that we honor those individuals and have them live the best days that they have left.
Yes, I mean, one of the things we look at is the least restrictive environment. You know, if you ratchet back independence, right? A person right now, you know, we're fortunate, the two of us, we're able to be completely independent in what we do. But if the day ever comes that we have a limitation, a cognitive limitation, we might have to ratchet back what we consider independent. And you guys do that in a very controlled and loving environment, don't you?
Yes.
So
what we do is all of our residents, they are able to do what they like to do. There's many different activities and different programs that they can participate in. We have our own bus, so our residents are able to go out to the aquarium, to the zoo, to the beach, other things that they would really enjoy doing. But we want to make sure that our residents feel that independence as much as possible, so that the things that they enjoy doing, they can still try to do as much as possible. We are kind of community that likes to say, how can we say yes and not say no? We might need to modify something to make it easier for them or make it safe for them, but we really want to have our residents be able to still do the things that they've always enjoyed doing in a nice controlled environment. Yeah,
and let's frame your residents a little bit. Your residents live in your community behind a locked door, it's a secure community. So the family can sleep easy at night knowing that they're safe and secure and not going to be able to get out, not potentially find a way to cause harm for themselves, you know.
So it is a completely secured memory care assisted living community. So there is just one door that leads in and out of that community. And once residents pass by that secure doors used by a key fob by one of our staff members, the residents have 53,000 square feet of space to be able to live out their days and do whatever they like to do in a nice, secure environment.
Yes, and I've seen your community with hundreds of people in it,
Yes.
right? Because I mean, prior to opening, I've seen it, and let me tell you, even with all the people you brought in, because it's very popular, right? People want to come in and see Symphony.
Yeah.
There was still plenty of room.
There is.
It's so spacious and so comfortable.
Yeah, and that's the great thing about it, is we really wanted to make sure that we had a community that was as homely as possible, but also has as much space as they could possibly have. Because we don't want residents to be on top of each other or bumping into each other. We want them to have plenty of spaces to go through. So we have ice cream parlors that they can go to. We have a couple of different movie theaters. We have outdoor courtyards. But we want our residents to really be able to utilize the space as much as they really want to use it.
One thing I noticed in there was the light. There's so much natural light.
Yeah. That's actually one of my favorite parts about the community, is our natural light that comes in through our courtyards. We decided to have our courtyards in the middle of our community so that natural light can flood in through the hallway, so the second the residents open up their apartment doors, they can see the outside and they want to go outside. So often we see that the residents are staying inside behind closed doors and not really getting outside a lot. We wanted to be able to bring the outside as much as possible inside so that they can really utilize that space and really enjoy that sunlight as much as possible.
Yeah, and it's amazing because the building's kind of laid out like a rectangle, right?
Yes.
And so you have these two courtyards providing light into the middle, and it's really something. Now, when we talk about the courtyards, these are outdoor areas that your residents are able to take advantage of. however they want to.
Exactly. So these courtyards are completely secure as the building goes around the courtyards. So our residents have access to them 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. We have the ability to secure them if there is inclement weather. But other than that, we want our residents to be outside. Even if it's 2 o'clock in the morning and it's a nice warm summer night, go outside. There's lights out there, there's music out there, there's a pergola, there's benches. We want them to be able to utilize that space. Our caregiver station is located right next to the courtyard, so they can see out and see what's going on, and all the big glass windows around the courtyards. All our caregivers need to do is just walk around and they can see what's actually going outside the courtyard. We want to be able to have our residents not feel like we're always on top of them, always having somebody watch over them. They're still adults, they're still humans. They want to have some kind of privacy. So we want to be able to honor that privacy by not being on them at all times, but also allow them to know that we are there if they do need us.
Yeah, and speaking of being there if they need you, you've done something that I find fascinating, which is you actually have management in with the residents.
Yeah. Yeah, so that was actually one of the really cool and key things that we really wanted to do, is have management right there on the floor. Not only do we have a great team of a clinical team that's going to be taking care of our residents, we also want the management there as well. That really truly helps and promotes that open door policy, having our team members being part of it, but also having our managers being there and available for the residents and the staff and the families they'll walk through. They're not located behind some other closed door or down some wing in the administrative wing. They're located right there where everything's actually happening, so they can also help out if something needs help.
Yeah, and so let's make sure we're clear on what that means. So in most of the communities like yours, a memory support assisted living community, the management team isn't in the same, behind the locked door with the residents.
Yeah.
They're out, like you said, in a management wing or a management part of the building.
Yeah.
And you literally have from the top, your top people are there in the secure area with the residents.
Exactly.
Not just aides, not just activities people, but actually your business office is in there, right? And people like that.
Yeah, my business office is there, my director of nursing is there, my memory support director is there, my moving coordinator is there. They're right there to be able to actually provide care for our residents as well. It's more oversight. You know, what we see a lot of times is that, as you were stating, in communities like mine, the management is in front of that locked door. They don't ever go back there, unfortunately.
Right.
You know, they have to have a meaningful reason to go back there. We want our staff members and our managers to know that this is part of your world as well. And so you're back there with everybody else. And if somebody needs a hand, you're there as well.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
It's amazing. Now, day to day, right? A resident moves in to Symphony, and you know, they're not just going to be sitting in their room. No. Now, there's a lot, and it's a very you're very on top of the residents to try and promote healthy, active living.
Yes. So one key thing that we have here, we have a moving coordinator. So her name is Morgan. Morgan, what she does is she helps design the first couple of days of a resident when they first move into our community. And we utilize our technology to better be able to do that. So we get all the information on the resident from their loved ones or the resident themselves on things that they enjoy doing, things that they like. And what we're able to do is we're able to link up other residents that have same and similar interests. Wow. And when we're able to do that, is that we can actually have our residents be more part of the programs that they actually will enjoy, and they will actually meet people that have those similar interests.
Yeah, so it's a very programmed first few days, which hopefully lead to them developing a comfortable routine.
Exactly, because our programs can start as early as 7 o'clock in the morning, and they go on late until about 8 o'clock at night. So the intent is when you move into Symphony to Cherry Hill, your bedroom is just a place for you to lay your head at night.
Right.
Outside of that, you're not out in your apartment. You're outside, you are enjoying the fresh air, you're part of different programs, you're in a movie theater, ice cream parlor, doing rehab, you're in the art and craft studio. That's what you're really doing. You're having a really packed day of different programs that are constantly going on. And as we have different parts of the community, we have double things that are going on in either side. So a resident can choose, maybe it might be 10 o'clock, they might not like this program, they can go to the other side of the community as well and do that one as well, so they don't ever feel like there's nothing to do.
Yeah, so your community is kind of symmetrical,
yes.
Right?
Yep.
You have two sides.
Yep.
You have different things going on each side where everybody's invited to participate in whatever it is that might benefit them. These are not closed off sides or they only have a little area of the community. Once they're in the community, they have full access to everything, just like everyone else there.
Exactly.
Wow.
Exactly.
Yeah, so let's talk about queuing and needs that people have. So if somebody's listening to this conversation, they say, wow, this is great what James is describing, but I don't think my loved one would be appropriate given his or her cognitive issue.
Okay.
I think you meet the needs of a whole lot of people,
do.
a wide range.
We do. So what we do is we send out my director of nursing, to go and do an assessment on the resident to see what their needs may be. A lot of times we feel that they may not be ready for us, or that they may feel that they might be too far gone within their dementia process, but we're actually able to utilize and bring in a lot of different services within our community, whether that be skilled care, we have rehab, we have doctors that come in as well, so we can actually be able to benefit them in many different ways.
Yeah, it's really something. So the bottom line is this: what people need to take away is that they shouldn't dismiss the idea that their loved one might be appropriate for Symphony, or Symphony might be appropriate for their loved one until they talk, because you're able to help identify ways in which you can help their loved one, care for their loved one, and find a way for their loved one to fit into the community.
Yep, that's very true.
James, this is amazing. We have a lot more I want to talk about, especially from the caregiver child's perspective, who may be hesitant to pick up the phone and give you a call. We're going to help them overcome some of those things that might be holding them back when we come back. But first, we're going to take a quick break. So don't go anywhere. We have a lot more to talk about here with James from Symphony at Cherry Hill right after this message. Welcome back once again to Everyday Elder Care. I'm joined today by James Santana, the Executive Director of Symphony at Cherry Hill, which is a memory support assisted living community. James is laughing, and so am I, because we both thought I was going to mess that up. I'm pretty good at this. I'm getting good. I mess things up all the time, but I was really proud that I pulled that one out. And James, before we went to break, we were talking a little bit about the fact that somebody caring for an aging parent or elderly loved one might think, oh gosh, you know, they may, my parent is different. They need a different level of care than most everybody else. And the reality is, lots of times you're able to evaluate them and find out how they can fit and integrate into the community. And you can serve them well.
Exactly.
There's other things that hold people back from picking up the phone, though, too, right? They think their parent, they won't be able to convince their parent to move into Symphony, right? Or they need help with that, or they're struggling with that. You guys are equipped to deal with that, aren't you?
We are. One of the key team members we have, and I talked about it earlier, was our moving coordinator. You know, Tracy, who's my director of sales, when we first met up together in December of last year, we talked about who do we want to bring on a team? How can we be different within our marketplace, but also be able to better serve our residents, better serve our families? So we decided we're gonna have a moving coordinator. So our moving coordinator, her sole job is dealing with just that, is helping the family. How do you move your loved one into our community? Her job is to be able to get to know who that resident is, get to know who the family is, so that she is better able to design a transition plan for that family, for her to be able, or that loved one to be able to move into our community. So she starts at the very beginning with our director of nursing by letting our director of nursing know when he's going out to do an assessment on what he needs to be, whether that's an insurance agent today or it's a realtor when he's going into the home, how he needs to act and who he's actually going to be meeting, to get all that information on the clinical side. But then it goes to our moving coordinator, and her job is to be able to take that information and talk with the family about what can we do to make that first day, that first week, that first month as great as possible for that loved one.
Well, let's go back even a little bit further. The family, somebody's sitting at home right now and they say, wow, I love what James is saying. I don't think it would work for my parent. They would resist. They're a homebody. They want to sit in front of their TV. They would not be appropriate for this community. And if by the end of this conversation that we're having, they decide, well, let me give it a try. Let me pick up the phone and talk to somebody there. They dial your number. Is it Morgan that they would talk to first, your moving coordinator?
They would talk to either Morgan or through Tracy. So Tracy would be probably the first one they would talk to, but Morgan also helps out with that entire process as well.
And Tracy would help them overcome that resistance that they've set up in their own mind of how it wouldn't work for their loved one. Because everybody says that, right? It won't work for my loved one. And yet you have a community that's about to be filled up with people's loved ones who they thought it wouldn't work for.
It wouldn't work for them, no.
It's pretty, you really know how to help the family get over that hurdle.
Yeah, and you know, a lot of times is that, you know, you might see some resistance because what is your loved one going to do? Or how are we going to feel about having them move into our community? And what we say is, bring them. You know, if we're doing a program or we're doing something that they really enjoy doing, take one of our calendars, bring your loved one in for during our art class. Bring your loved one in when we're doing a brain scramble, so that they can kind of see the day-to-day, to kind of get them a little bit more used to the idea. You might not tell them we're going to an assisted living today, but you might say that we're going to go out for lunch, letting us know that so that we can prepare a nice lunch for them. They're coming in, they're enjoying themselves, they're going to a program, they might listen to a music performance, they're having a great time, and then they're going to leave. We might have to do that a few times to get them a little more interested in the idea, but after a while, they're going to start enjoying what they're actually doing and saying, I don't want to leave.
Yeah, so there should be no resistance to picking up the phone and starting the conversation.
Right.
There could be something along the way where they decide it might not be appropriate for them, but more often than not, people are very surprised to learn that you're able to put something in place for their loved one and help them transition. And that's the key. The other thing that holds people back is the idea of, gosh, it's going to be so hard to get my parent acclimated to the community. And you've talked about Morgan and setting up that plan.
Exactly.
When someone moves in, should the family be a part of it? They help them set it up and stay around, or do families often do better if they're not there the first little bit?
So we are really transparent and really honest with our families. If we feel that a family member, it's going to be more detrimental to the resident for having them there throughout the entire process, we'll let them know that maybe you should stay away for a day or a couple of days. We're going to give you those updates. We're going to be able to have you FaceTime so you can see what your loved one is doing. But what we think is the best transition plan is having them actually move the furniture into the apartment a couple of days before the resident actually moves in. So when they first move into the apartment, or the resident moves in on that first day, it looks like home. They see their own furniture, they see their own layout, they see their own pictures, they may see themselves, and they say, this is actually mine. So there's a little bit less of a punch right off the bat that this is a new home for them.
And the strategies, the shortcuts to help make this easier for that person with the cognitive impairment. People are very well served when they pick up the phone and give that call. And if something isn't appropriate, well, I mean, your guys are quick to tell them if it's somebody you can't serve.
Correct, and that's the really great thing about what we do with our team, is that we recognize that sometimes we are not the best fit. We recognize that they may be too early, they may be too late within their disease process, that they may need other services. So we like to refer to other communities that might better be able to serve them, other elder care attorneys like yourself, that might be able to help them transition to another place, or things that they may need help with. But that's what we like to do. We want to do, at the end of the day, always the right thing. And if we feel it's not going to be the best thing for the loved one, we're going to have you go someplace else, and we're going to help you with that.
And as the loved one's situation evolves, you're able to change the level of care that they need as things change for them. Because I'm assuming your goal is that people age in place.
Yes.
This is their home.
That is the 100% the goal. We want residents to move in with us and stay with us throughout the entire process. So we're able to bring in other kind of services if they need them at any time, whether or not it's home care, whether or not it's hospice, whether it's rehab. We're able to bring them into our community because we want them to be home to be able to get those things.
Right, that's a goal. It's not always possible.
Exactly.
There are situations, much like where people might be too early in the process, where they're not yet appropriate. There can be situations where they're beyond the ability of an assisted living, not just Symphony, but an assisted living to provide care for them. And you're gonna be. I think the key here is communication. You guys, you really do a good job at Symphony of communicating with the families.
Yeah, that's what we really try to do. Is we want to tell all families that we want you to get annoyed with us by how much we communicate, because we want to over communicate so that you have a complete understanding of what's actually going on with your loved one.
And let's talk for a moment. You mentioned it before about technology. I think you take pride in how technology savvy Symphony is, and how you've used technology to improve the care and communication with your families.
Yeah, so we have 3 pieces of technology that is really, really important to our community. The first one is our It's Never Too Late system, which is a system that allows us to track our residents on what they're doing with their programming. So our residents can log on to their own Facebook kind of page, and there's already the likes that are already built into it. This allows our family members to actually be able to see what their loved one's actually doing. They can actually Skype with a loved one. They can text them through the app. We can have a caregiver system, or they can do it independently if they're able to do that. But we really want to be able to get as much information on the program side of what the resident is actually enjoying to do. We might be able to actually better serve the resident down the road by, if they are starting to forget things, we're actually going to be able to track that through the program, or whether or not if throughout their disease process, they may be, we might not be able to actually grab from them what they actually enjoy doing, so we can utilize this system to be able to help them throughout that process. The second thing that is really important to us is our Elder Mark system, which is our clinical system, which allow us to put all the residents things that they need, their activities of daily living. They're brushing their teeth, they're combing their hair, they're taking a shower. All the information is already loaded into our caregivers' iPods. So our caregivers carry around Apple devices throughout the community to be able to help residents through their everyday activities of daily living. So we don't have to run back and forth to a chart and take up that unnecessary time, which could be anywhere from 45 minutes to an hour throughout a day that is just spent on administrative tasks. All that's done away. When a caregiver is going into a resident's bathroom or they're helping them out, all they have to do is quickly tap on things. And then the last piece that's really important to us is our PAL care system, which is we can be able to track where our residents are within the community. So our residents carry lanyards or wristlets, so we know where they are. If they ever need help, they just press the button and we can locate them within a 20 feet radius.
It's amazing. Yeah. It's amazing how you guys have integrated that to provide a higher level of care. You're making it easier for your caregivers to provide a higher level and better level of care for the residents.
Yeah, it's really great because the one thing we can't ever get back is time. And by taking away the things that take so much time throughout an 8-hour day, allows us to be able to spend more time with the residents doing things that they actually truly enjoy doing.
Yeah, and the one where the caregiver can look up and see what the residents' needs are. Yeah, we're talking about a nice-sized community that you have. Yeah. And if one person goes from one corner of the community all the way to the other corner, and there's a different caregiver there, that caregiver can immediately call up that resident, who that resident is, what their likes are, what their dislikes are, and how you might handle a difficult moment with that resident. Yeah, it makes a big difference, doesn't it?
It does. It really does.
Yeah, it's really exciting how you've integrated that into this situation. Now, if somebody wants to come in and take a look at Symphony, if they call, they can schedule a tour, and you can come in, and they can come in with and or without their loved one. I think you talked about doing it with their loved one, making it a day kind of, but on their own. Is that something you recommend? Do families, should they come in first and take a look on their own?
I would recommend that first. I think taking away all those extraneous things within your day and other people and other family members that might be involved in the decision making, coming in by yourself, kind of having a look around of what the community looks like, getting to meet different members of the team, because that's what it's really truly about. It's about meeting team members. But coming in alone and sitting down with Tracy, and she's going to talk to you about the different things that we have in the community. But more importantly, we want to know what is things that you need from us. What are you actually looking for? What is actually going to make your loved one happy? What is you as a family unit? How are you guys going to be happy through the process? So it's just it's a time you kind of sit together. We sit down on couches. We kind of just relax, have some cookies, and just kind of relax and really understand what's going on.
And what you're communicating here is that this is not a one-size-fits-all. It's a very customized scenario for each person, each resident that joins your community.
It truly is. Everybody is completely different, and we really want to be able to honor that as much as possible.
And I think stressing to the family that the more you can share with us, the more information you can share about your loved one, the better we can support them.
Exactly. I mean, one of the family members that impressed me actually came in with a PDF of her mother. A complete slideshow of who her mother was and things she really enjoyed doing. Wow. She thought that she was going overboard. She's like, you're going to think I'm nuts for doing this. And I gave her a hug and said, thank you. This is exactly what we need. The more information that we can gather, even might be the smallest of details, that she likes to have her slippers on the left side of the bed. To you might seem like not a big deal, but we might know if we do that, it actually could make that resident's day. Yes. So all those little things we really, really, really want to know.
Right. So not only are you trying to communicate outwards, but you're asking the families to communicate inwards, share what's going on.
Exactly.
And you know, I guess once people become part of your community, you really are able to help the family better interface with their loved one, and you're able to improve. You're able to take somebody who might have been a 24-hour almost employee of their loved one and turn them back into a companion because you do the heavy lifting for them.
Exactly, and that's what we're all about. We want to make you go back to being the adult daughter, going back to being the spouse. We will be the caregiver. We're there to help out when need be. You come in to visit, and you actually being able to spend time as that loving relationship that you guys had.
And you've seen a lot of people over the years, the benefits of that change, haven't you?
I really have, and it's really amazing. And you know, when you sit down with those family members, they say, you know, I wish we did it earlier. And that's when we know that we did a great job.
Yes, and you know that, and it is how you know you did a great job, and it is the one thing that I find that hurts me the most in this industry is how people often wait to the point where they ultimately end up saying, "I wish I'd done this sooner," because what a great thing you're doing, and if only we had taken advantage of this before, and I'd overcome my barriers, because people put these personal barriers up, and if they would just take the time and pick up the phone, it may not be time for mom or dad to move into your community, but if they start that relationship and learn more about it when the time is right, they'll be ready.
Exactly. It's very true.
Yeah, so it's really great what you're doing. Any tips or advice you might share with people who have a loved one with a cognitive impairment about the idea of assisted living or memory care, memory support assisted living?
Yeah, I mean, one of the tips that I would suggest is just coming out and seeing what the community looks like. You know, gone are the days of the old nursing home or the the ideas of what you had before, of what a community actually used to look like. Today's communities are very home-like. There are marble countertops, you know, stainless steel appliances. Things look really, really nice in there. And just having them come into the community, and again, you don't even have to set up a visit, but just coming in and seeing what it's about might actually be able to have the idea be a little bit more pleasing.
Yeah, if somebody's driving by and they've always thought about it, just stop in and take a quick look. I mean, you have people there who can accommodate that. I mean, I think it's always better if they call you first so that you're ready to give them the best possible experience in their drop by. But if they're just driving by and they've always wondered, it's always a good time to stop in and check it out.
Sure.
James, I know there's people watching this show that have gotten great value out of what you've just shared. I know they're very interested in Symphony at Cherry Hill. Can you let people know, how do they get in touch with you and the team at Symphony?
Yeah, so we are actually located at 1240 Brace Road in Cherry Hill, New Jersey. You can pick up the phone and call us at 856-651-7253 or join us on the web at www.symphony@cherryhill.com. You can learn about all of the different things that we're doing there every single day.
James, I know you're very busy right now. You're filling your community. You've got families that are just so excited to be a part of the Symphony community.
Yeah.
I really appreciate the fact that you took time out of your day to share what you're doing with the viewers.
I appreciate you having me.
You're very welcome. You're welcome back anytime. And you're welcome back anytime, too. Thank you so much for taking time out of your day to learn how to better care for your elderly loved one. I just learned a lot from James from Symphony at Cherry Hill. I hope you did, too. I can't wait to talk to you again next week. Remember, I'm Casey Price from Price & Price, the elder law firm that focuses our practice on helping people touched by Alzheimer's disease and other forms of dementia. Until I have the privilege of talking to you again, I wish you nothing but the best.